Your wife was on a long business trip abroad. Every night she would call us, saying, I miss you and the kids so much, it's killing me. So, we decided to surprise her. But when we arrived at her hotel, we saw her by the pool with another man. Our 7-year-old daughter whispered, That's not Daddy. She doesn't know we were there yet, but she's about to find out in the worst way. My wife, let's call her Elise, and I met in graduate school. She was brilliant, ambitious, and passionate about her career in pharmaceutical research. I fell head over heels for her. We got married after 2 years of dating, and soon after, we had our 2 children, Emma, now 7, and Lucas, now 5. I'm a software engineer, and 5 years ago I transitioned to working remotely to be more present for the kids. Elise continued to climb the corporate ladder at a major pharmaceutical company. Her work occasionally required travel, but never for more than a week at a time. She was a dedicated mother when she was home, and I thought we had a strong partnership. That was until 3 months ago. Elise arrived home one night, visibly excited. Her company needed someone to oversee the setup of a new research collaboration with a lab in Barcelona, Spain. It would require a 6-week stay. It's a huge opportunity, she explained. Leading this project could fast-track my path to a director position. Of course, I was supportive. We adjusted childcare arrangements, and I modified my work hours to be more available for the kids. It would be a challenge, but we would make it work. I'm going to miss you and the kids terribly, she said as I drove her to the airport. But I'll call every night. And she did, like clockwork. The kids would huddle around my phone, eager to see Mommy's face and hear about Spain. Every call ended the same way, I miss you so much it's killing me. She sometimes had tears in her eyes as she said it. She'd blow kisses to the kids and make hearts with her hands. They ate it up, especially Emma, who started counting down the days until Mommy came back. 3 weeks into her trip, something shifted. The calls continued, but they became shorter. Elise seemed distracted, often taking the calls from her hotel balcony because the room was too noisy from room service, or she needed better reception. When I asked about her work, her answers became vague. It's complicated, and I'm exhausted from explaining technical details all day, she'd say. My suspicions grew when she started declining video calls with flimsy excuses. The lighting was bad. Her hair was a mess, she had a migraine and couldn't handle the screen's brightness. It was Emma who inadvertently planted the seed for what happened next. During bedtime, she asked, Daddy, can we surprise Mommy in Spain like in the movies? The idea took root. Elise still had 3 weeks left on her trip. The kids had a scheduled school break. I had accumulated vacation time. And most importantly, I needed to know the truth. I didn't tell anyone except my parents, who agreed to watch our dog. I booked flights and a hotel room near where Elise was staying. I told myself it was an adventure for the kids, a chance to see Barcelona. But deep down, I knew what I was really doing. We arrived in Barcelona on a sunny Wednesday morning. The plan was to rest, explore the city a bit, and then surprise Elise at her hotel the following day. Is Mommy going to be so excited? Emma kept asking, the most excited of all. The most excited, I assured, feeling a knot in my stomach. That afternoon, I decided to do a little reconnaissance. I left the kids with the hotel's babysitting service for an hour, promising to bring back ice cream. Then I took a taxi to Elise's hotel, a luxurious beachfront property the company had arranged for her extended stay. I didn't plan on approaching her yet, just wanted to confirm she was actually staying there and get a sense of the layout for our surprise the next day. I asked the taxi to wait while I walked through the lobby, pretending to meet someone. That's when I saw her through the large windows overlooking the pool area. I recognized Elise immediately. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a loose bun, sunglasses perched on her head. She was wearing a red swimsuit I'd never seen before, sitting at the poolside bar. She wasn't alone. A tall, tanned man with dark hair was sitting beside her. As I watched, paralyzed, he touched her arm. Not a friendly touch, but the kind of caress that told me everything I needed to know. Elise threw her head back, laughing, her hand resting on his chest. I felt physically ill. The ground seemed to tilt beneath my feet. A hotel employee asked if I needed assistance, and I somehow managed to shake my head and walk back to the waiting taxi. I spent the rest of the evening on autopilot, mechanically going through the dinner and bedtime story routine with the kids. My mind was racing, replaying 9 years of marriage, searching for signs I'd missed. The next morning, Emma woke up brimming with excitement about surprising her mother. I couldn't cancel our plans, not yet. Part of me needed to see Elise's reaction when confronted with her deceit. And another part, the part I'm not proud of, wanted her to see the hurt in our children's eyes. We arrived at Elise's hotel around 11 a.m. The concierge smiled at the kids' obvious excitement. "We're surprising my wife. Room 718, I explained. "Oh, Mrs. Reynolds. I believe she's in the pool area. Would you like me to call her room first?" "No," I said quickly. "The surprise is the whole point." The concierge directed us through the lobby towards the pool. Emma skipped ahead, dragging Lucas by the hand. I followed a few steps behind, my heart pounding in my chest. And there she was again. But this time, she wasn't at the bar. Elise was lying on a pool chair, her red swimsuit attracting glances from around the pool. And in the chair next to her was the same man from yesterday, now with his arm draped casually over her shoulders. As we got closer, I saw the moment Emma spotted her mother. Her little face lit up, and she took off running. "Mommy," she shrieked with pure joy. What happened next is forever etched in my memory. Elise's head snapped up at the sound of Emma's voice. Her sunglasses tumbled from her head to her lap. The color drained from her face as she saw our daughter running towards her, followed by Lucas and me. The man beside her looked confused, his arms still around her shoulders. Elise stood up as if the chair had electrocuted her, nearly knocking over a drink in the process. "Emma? Lucas?" Her voice was barely audible. Then her eyes met mine. "What are you doing here?" Before I could answer, Emma had already reached her, launching herself into a hug around her waist. Lucas followed, clinging to her legs. "We surprised you, Mommy," Emma exclaimed. "Like when you were sad and missed us." I watched as Elise awkwardly patted the kids' heads, her eyes darting between them and the man, who was now standing beside her, looking increasingly uncomfortable. That's when Emma turned to look at him, her small brow furrowed in confusion. Tugging on Elise's hand, she stage whispered, loud enough for everyone around them to hear, "That's not Daddy." The pool area, already hushed by the interruption, seemed to fall completely silent. Elise's face contorted into an expression I'd never seen before. Panic, shame, and anger all mixed together. "Kids, this is a colleague, Dr. Martin," she managed to say. "He's part of the research team I'm working with." Dr. Martin extended his hand towards me, but I ignored it. Instead, I knelt down to Emma and Lucas's level. "Kids, why don't you go with that nice lady at the towel station and ask for 2 towels? I need to talk to Mommy for a minute." After they reluctantly walked away, I turned to Elise, keeping my voice low but firm. "We're leaving. The kids and I will go back to our hotel and then we'll fly home tomorrow. You have until then to decide what you're going to tell them about why you're staying in Spain." "Ian, please," she began, tears forming in her eyes. "This isn't—" I cut her off. "Just don't. Not here." Dr. Martin muttered something in Spanish and walked away, clearly wanting to avoid the unfolding family drama. Elise grabbed my arm. "You can't just take the kids and leave me. We need to talk about this." "No," I said, pulling away from her grasp. "What we needed was for you not to lie to your family. What we needed was for you not to cheat on your husband while telling your children how much you miss them every night." Her face hardened. "You had no right to come here unannounced." I laughed, a hollow sound that even surprised me. "Rich, coming from you. The kids and I will be at the Hotel Catalunya until tomorrow afternoon. The ball is in your court." I collected Emma and Lucas, who were confused and upset by the tension they'd witnessed. As we walked away, I heard Emma ask, "Why is Mommy crying? Isn't she happy to see us?" That question broke something inside me. Elise came to our hotel that night alone. She asked to speak to me privately first, so I arranged for the kids to have dinner with a babysitter in the hotel restaurant. In our room, she crumbled, alternating between apologies and justifications. "It just happened," she claimed between sobs. "Martin and I were working long nights, and there was this chemistry." 6 weeks of just happened, I interrupted. 6 weeks of lying to me and the kids every night. She admitted the affair had started 2 weeks into her trip. She insisted it wasn't serious, just a connection intensified by the romantic setting and the distance from home. "I love you and the kids," she pleaded. "It was a mistake, a terrible mistake I'll regret forever." I asked the question that had been burning in me since the pool. "Is this the first time?" Her hesitation told me everything. "There was another time," she finally admitted. "A conference in Chicago last year. It was just one night, and I ended it immediately. 2 affairs that I knew of. How many more had there been?" We didn't speak for hours. She begged for another chance, promised couples therapy, transparency, anything I wanted. But as I watched her cry in that hotel room, all I could see was her laughing by the pool with her lover while our daughter counted down the days until her return. After our conversation, she spent time with the kids, who were confused but relieved to see their parents speaking civilly. We agreed to tell them that Mommy's work had finished early, but she needed to stay a few more days for meetings. She would be home next week, as planned. That night, after Elise left and the kids were asleep, I made a decision. I wasn't going to make a scene. I wasn't going to shatter our lives with a messy, public confrontation. I was going to be strategic, calculated, and absolutely ruthless. We flew home the next day. I maintained a facade of normalcy for the kids while secretly contacting a divorce lawyer. I gathered financial records, documented Elise's admission of the affairs, and began building my case. The lawyer advised me that under California's no-fault divorce laws, the affairs might not significantly impact the financial settlement, but they could potentially influence custody arrangements. More importantly, she pointed out that Elise's successful career and frequent travel could work to our advantage in arguing for primary physical custody. I didn't share my plans with anyone, not even my closest friends. To the outside world, I was a husband eagerly awaiting his wife's return from a business trip. Elise called every night, speaking to the kids and then to me. Her voice was laced with forced cheerfulness for them and pleading desperation for me. I responded with non-committal phrases. "We'll talk when you're home. Let's focus on the kids for now." I'm still processing everything. Meanwhile, I was methodically executing my plan. First, I contacted a private investigator recommended by my lawyer. If there were other affairs, I wanted documentation. Second, I secretly transferred half of our savings into a separate account in my name only, perfectly legal before divorce proceedings began, my lawyer assured me. Third, I started documenting everything related to the kids, school pickups and drop-offs, doctor's appointments, extracurricular activities, playdates. I created a spreadsheet showing that I handled approximately 70% of the childcare responsibilities even before Elise's extended trip. Finally, I installed cameras in our house. Nothing in private areas like bedrooms or bathrooms, only in common spaces. California is a 2-party consent state for audio recording, but video without audio in your own home is permitted. I wanted evidence of my parenting and any potential confrontations when Elise returned. As the days passed, I felt a strange calmness descend upon me. The initial shock and grief were still there, but they were now channeled into purposeful action. Elise returned on a Saturday morning, exactly as scheduled. The kids were euphoric, rushing to the door when they heard her key in the lock. I stayed back, watching the reunion with detached interest. She looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, partially concealed with makeup. She hugged the kids tightly, tears streaming down her face as she told them how much she'd missed them. When she finally looked at me, I gave a small, neutral nod. Welcome home. The rest of the day was dedicated to the kids. Elise brought them gifts from Spain, a flamenco dress for Emma, an FC Barcelona jersey for Lucas. She listened intently to their stories about what they'd done while she was away, asking questions and laughing at their jokes. To any observer, we might have looked like a normal family reuniting after a long separation. Only the strained glances between Elise and me revealed the truth. That night, after the kids were asleep, we sat at opposite ends of the living room sofa. "Thank you," she began, "for not saying anything to the kids." "I didn't do it for you," I replied evenly. "I did it for them." She nodded, nervously twisting her wedding ring. "What happens now?" "Now we discuss logistics. I've hired a lawyer. I'm filing for divorce and seeking primary physical custody of the kids." Her face crumbled. "Ian, please, can't we try couples therapy? At least? People get past affairs all the time. It's not something that can't be fixed." "It's not something I'm willing to fix," I said. "And honestly, I don't think you're truly sorry for having the affairs. You're sorry you got caught." She protested vehemently, but I raised a hand to stop her. "This is what's going to happen. We'll tell the kids tomorrow that we're separating. We'll say we've grown apart, but we still care about each other. We'll emphasize that none of this is their fault." "Tomorrow," she gasped. "That's too soon. They just got me back. Do you prefer they find out from the tension between us?" "Kids aren't stupid, Elise. They already sensed something was wrong in Barcelona." She buried her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. A part of me wanted to comfort her, a reflex from 9 years of marriage. I resisted. "I've prepared a preliminary separation agreement," I continued. "I'll email it to you tonight. Review it with your lawyer if you want, but the terms are fair." In truth, the terms were more than fair. They were generous. I wasn't interested in financially punishing Elise or limiting her time with the kids. What I wanted was honesty, stability for the children, and a clean break. The next few weeks were a blur of painful conversations, paperwork, and adjustments. We told the kids together, as planned. Emma cried. Lucas seemed confused, and both of them asked questions we weren't entirely prepared to answer. We reassured them as best we could, promising that both parents would always be there for them, even if we weren't living together. Elise moved into a furnished apartment nearby. We established a temporary custody schedule, weekends and Wednesday dinners with her, the rest of the time with me. It worked with her job, which still required occasional travel. On the surface, the separation was proceeding amicably. But underneath, I was still gathering information. The private investigator had confirmed my suspicions. The night in Chicago had actually been an ongoing affair with a colleague that lasted several months. There were suspicious patterns with at least 2 other men over the past 3 years. Elise, meanwhile, seemed to be in denial about the finality of our separation. She suggested family dinners, proposed weekend outings together, for the kids' sake, and continued to bring up couples therapy. I maintained polite but firm boundaries. 2 months after Elise's return from Barcelona, her company announced its annual gala. It was a prestigious event attended by executives, researchers, and industry partners. A crucial networking opportunity for someone with Elise's career ambitions. She asked me if I would attend with her as her date. "It would mean a lot to me," she said during a custody exchange. "And it would look better if we presented a united front." "We're not united," I reminded her. "We're separated and in the process of getting divorced." "No one at work knows yet," she admitted. "I haven't said anything yet." I considered her request carefully. It was manipulative, using her career as leverage while hiding our separation from her colleagues. But it also presented an opportunity one hadn't anticipated. "Fine," I agreed finally. "One last event for closure." She seemed relieved, even hopeful. "Thank you. It's black tie, next Saturday at the Fairmont." "I remember how it works," I said. We'd attended many similar events during our marriage. The week before the gala, I finalized certain arrangements and confirmed key details with my lawyer. Then I rented a tuxedo and mentally prepared myself for what would be our last public appearance as a couple. The night of the gala, I arranged for my parents to watch the kids and took an Uber to the Fairmont. Elise and I had agreed to meet in the lobby instead of arriving together. She looked stunning in a navy blue gown, her blonde hair elegantly upswept. When she saw me, her face lit up with a smile that momentarily made my heart ache for what we'd lost, or rather, for what I thought we'd had. "You look handsome," she said, adjusting my bow tie. "You look beautiful," I replied honestly. "Ready," she nodded, slipping her hand into the crook of my arm. We entered the ballroom together, immediately surrounded by colleagues congratulating Elise on the successful Barcelona project. I played my part perfectly, the supportive husband, engaging in small talk, laughing at industry jokes I barely understood. Elise stayed close, her hand often finding mine or resting on my arm, creating the image of marital harmony she wanted her colleagues to see. During dinner, her boss gave a speech praising the Barcelona partnership and Elise's leadership. She received a thunderous ovation as she was called up to say a few words. "None of this would be possible without the support of my incredible husband, Ian," she said, raising her glass in my direction, "who kept everything running smoothly with our two wonderful children while I was away for 6 long weeks." More applause, smiles, nods of approval from wives and husbands who'd made similar sacrifices for their spouses' careers. After dinner came the dancing. Elise led me to the dance floor for a slow song, wrapping her arms around my neck the way she used to. "Thank you for doing this," she whispered. "It means everything." "Are you enjoying it?" I asked. "More than I've enjoyed anything in months," she admitted. "It feels like old times." As the night wore on, Elise became more affectionate, more hopeful. I could see it in her eyes. She thought tonight was a turning point, a step towards reconciliation. That made what came next even more devastating. At 10:30 p.m. sharp, my phone vibrated with a text message. It was the signal I'd been waiting for. "Excuse me," I said to Elise, who was chatting with a group of colleagues. "I need to make a quick call. I'll be right back." I stepped out of the ballroom and confirmed everything was ready. Then I went back to get Elise. "Can we talk privately for a moment?" I asked, gesturing towards a quiet corner of the venue. She followed eagerly, probably assuming I wanted an intimate moment. "What is it?" she asked, her eyes bright with anticipation. "I wanted to let you know I'm leaving now," I said calmly. Her smile faltered. "Already? The night's just getting started. The CEO is supposed to make a surprise announcement about promotion soon." "I'm aware," I said. "But I have somewhere else to be." She frowned, confused. "What could be more important than this?" "The truth," I replied. I pulled out my phone and showed her the screen. A live stream of our living room at home, where a group of people had gathered. Her eyes widened as she recognized her parents, her sister, my brother, and several of our closest friends. "What is this?" she whispered. "I've invited everyone who matters in our lives to hear the truth about why our marriage ended," I said. "The live stream starts in exactly 3 minutes. I thought maybe you'd want to be there in person, but I understand if you'd prefer to stay here and keep up appearances." The color drained from her face. "You wouldn't." "Wouldn't I?" "I am. I've spent months listening to you minimize your betrayal, watching you manipulate our friends and family with vague explanations about us growing apart. Tonight, everyone will hear what really happened." "Please," she pleaded, grabbing my arm. "Don't do this. Think of the kids. The kids are with neighbors tonight, watching a movie. They won't be anywhere near this conversation. Think of my job then. If this gets out, you should have thought about that before you brought me here as your prop," I interrupted, "before you could publicly thank me for keeping everything running smoothly while you were screwing Dr. Martin in Barcelona." Tears welled up in her eyes. "I'll do anything. Please, don't do this." I glanced at my watch. You have approximately 2 minutes to get an Uber if you want to be there to defend yourself. Your choice. With that, I walked away, leaving her frozen in the corner. I didn't look back as I exited the hotel ballroom and finally, the remnants of our marriage. I arrived home just as everyone was settling in, confused but curious about the urgent gathering. I told them only that I had an important announcement about my marriage to Elise. Elise didn't show up. I hadn't expected her to. Thank you all for coming on such short notice, I began, standing before our friends and family. I know there have been a lot of questions about what's been happening between Elise and me. I proceeded to tell them everything: the trip to Barcelona, our surprise visit, her confession of multiple affairs. I showed select photos the private investigator had obtained of her with various men over the years, all time-stamped and conclusive. There were gasps, tears, and expressions of shock. Elise's mother covered her face with her hands. Her sister stared in disbelief. I'm not sharing this to be vindictive, I explained. I'm sharing it because I'm tired of the lies. I'm tired of carrying this burden alone, and I'm tired of the implications that this separation was somehow mutual or that I wasn't committed enough to the marriage. One of Elise's friends stood up. This is just one side of the story. We should hear Elise's version before we judge. I agree, I replied. I invited her here tonight. She chose not to come. As if on cue, the front door burst open and Elise stormed in, still in her gala gown, mascara running down her face. She had arrived after all. How dare you, she shrieked, advancing towards me. How dare you ambush me like this? Our friends and family sat in stunned silence as she unleashed her fury. She called me manipulative, vindictive, cruel. She accused me of exaggerating a few mistakes. She claimed I was trying to destroy her reputation out of spite. I let her rant until she ran out of steam. Then I asked calmly, "Do you deny the affairs?" She stopped mid-sentence, suddenly aware of her audience. She looked at the faces watching her, her parents, her sister, friends who'd been at our wedding. I made some mistakes, she finally said, her voice quieter. But Ian is making this seem so much worse than it was. How many affairs were there? I asked. Total. The whole truth. She glared at me with hatred. You know what? Fine. 4. There were 4. Are you happy now? The room inhaled collectively. Her mother let out a soft moan. No, I said sadly. I'm not happy. I haven't been happy since I saw you with another man while our daughter counted down the days until you came home. What followed were 2 hours of painful conversation, questions from family members, tearful explanations from Elise that gradually shifted from defensive to remorseful as the reality of the situation sank in. Expressions of support for both of us despite the circumstances. By the end, we were all emotionally drained. People began to leave in pairs or small groups, offering hugs and whispered words of encouragement. Finally, it was just Elise and me left in the living room that had once been the heart of our family home. Was all this really necessary? She asked, her voice trembling from crying. Yes, I said. Not as revenge, but because secrets fester when they're hidden. Because I refuse to be portrayed as the villain in a story you're rewriting. And because the people who love us deserve the truth. She nodded slowly. The fight had gone out of her. What happens now? Now, we continue with the divorce as planned. We raise our kids the best we can. And we move forward with honesty. You've destroyed my reputation, she said bitterly. No, Elise. You did that. I just refuse to help you hide it. It's been 6 months since that night. The divorce was finalized last week. As I'd hoped, the judge awarded me primary physical custody, with Elise having the kids every other weekend and 1 night a week. Elise was denied the promotion to director, although she kept her job. Some of her colleagues had apparently heard rumors about the real reason for her success with the Barcelona project. Office politics can be as ruthless as it is hypocritical. As for me, I've adjusted to a new routine with Emma and Lucas. We have dinner together every night, and I've become proficient in French braids and science fair projects. The kids are adapting well, although they still have questions and moments of sadness. We're all in family therapy, learning to navigate our new normal. Elise and I communicate mostly through a co-parenting app now. Our interactions are civil but distant. She's dating someone new, not Dr. Martin or any of her previous affair partners that I know of. I'm not ready to date yet, but someday I might be. Some people have criticized my actions as excessive or vindictive. They say I should have handled the situation privately, that public exposure wasn't necessary. But this is what I know. Lies don't disappear when they're hidden. They grow, they spread, they poison everything around them. By bringing the truth to light, yes, dramatically and perhaps painfully, I freed not only myself, but also Elise from the web of deceit she'd created. Whether or not she acknowledges that is her journey, not mine. I don't regret my decision. Not when Emma asks me tough questions about trust and honesty, and I can answer her without hypocrisy. Not when Lucas sees that his father stood up for himself with dignity. And not when I look in the mirror every morning, finally seeing a man who refused to be complicit in his own betrayal. That's not revenge. That's recovery.